Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And I'll be speaking of the Bhagavad Gita. I'll use this as a whiteboard to write certain things. So I'll speak today on how the Bhagavad Gita expands our understanding of a fulfilling life. Most of the times we think that the purpose of life, so wherever we are, I'm here, we all want to, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. We all want to go towards happiness. Now, we all have our own conceptions of happiness. So, somebody may think, I'll get wealth and I'll become happy. Somebody else will think that I may become powerful or popular, then I'll become happy. Somebody may think that once I'm in a particular relationship, then I'll be happy. We may all have different definitions of happiness. But everybody is seeking happiness in some way or the other. And yet, one of the things that the Bhagavad Gita says is that stop worrying about happiness. It says, be equipoised in happiness and distress. That's a repeated thing in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, right from the second chapter, if you consider the Gita, 18 chapters, I'll focus on towards the end, but right from the first big characteristic of a wise person, Krishna says, such a person does not care for happiness. Dukkeshu udvignamana sukheshu yatasva. Not elated in happiness, not dejected in distress. Now you may think, what is this? How can we live like that? We all want to be happy. We don't want to be unhappy. That's just normal human nature. Now, if we consider what is going on, if we consider the Bhagavad Gita, where does the Bhagavad Gita end? Then you know what is how many chapters are there in Gita? 18 chapters, okay. And then, any idea how many chapters, how many verses are there in the last chapter? 70. So we can say that approximately the 78th verse is the last verse of the Gita. But it's interesting, where does Krishna stop speaking? He stops speaking in the 72nd verse. And then there's one verse which Arjuna speaks. And after that, the last 5 verses, who is speaking that? Sanjay, yes. So, in one sense, if you consider the Gita is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. And similarly, the same Gita is spoken by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. Yes. So now, if we consider in terms of the result, Krishna speaking to Arjuna is a success. Success in the sense that Arjuna is confused, doesn't know what to do, and by the end of the Gita, Arjuna says, Karishye vachinam tava. I will do your will. So, in terms of the conviction that Arjuna has got, Krishna's mission is successful. Sanjay speaks the same message to Dhritarashtra. Can we call that a success? Well, not exactly, isn't it? There is no change in Dhritarashtra's heart. There is no change. Dhritarashtra's disposition remains the same. So then the question comes up that why doesn't the Gita end just in 1873? The Gita is, relatively speaking, a short book. It's 700 verses, and it's short also because it is spoken on the battlefield. So this could have ended with 1873 itself, where the Krishna-Arjuna conversation ends. So what is the significance of these 5 verses that Sanjay speaks? In many ways, these verses demonstrate the teaching of the Gita. See, one of the teachings of the Gita is that you work in a mood of dutifulness. You work in a mood of service to the Lord. Whatever you are doing, you do it for the Lord. So now, Sanjay, it's interesting that Dhritarashtra does not get any success. But these last verses, they depict Sanjay's happiness. In fact, it's not exactly happiness, it's something much more than happiness. 76 and 77 verses. Tacha samsritya samsritya samvadam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam vishyami cha muhurmuhu rajam samsritya samsritya samvadam adbhutam. So he says, in the first verse he talks about, there is basically remembrance. And first there is the remembrance of the message of the Gita. And then there is the remembrance of the form of Krishna. And when he remembers these two things, he says the result is not, there's a common denominator over it. He says, I'm thrilled. And not just thrilled at one moment, thrilled at every moment. There's a sense of wonder. Amazing. Samvadam adbhutam. It's an astounding conversation. So when the Gita is saying that be equipoised in happiness and distress, that be equipoised in success and failure. In one sense, the Gita is demonstrating that through the example of Sanjay. That Sanjay, he in a beautiful way narrates the Gita to Dhritarashtra. But that does not transform Dhritarashtra's heart. However, just speaking the Gita enlivens Sanjay's heart itself. Sanjay's heart becomes enriched as he's remembering the form of Krishna, remembering the message of Krishna, and he feels so enriched, so uplifted that he's thrilled. In one sense, we could say there is not just Dhritarashtra is untransformed, but Sanjay has an affectionate relationship with Dhritarashtra and also knows, as per the last verse which says that essentially he tells Dhritarashtra indirectly that your sons are going to die. Isn't it? What he says is, wherever there is Krishna, yatra yogeshwara Krishna, yatra partho dhanurdhara, tatra shri vijayo bhuti dhruva nite matimma. So what happens is, in 1.1 and 18.78, there is a beautiful symmetry. So the first verse is an indirect question. He asks, on the battlefield, what did they do? Now, what did they do? Essentially, you are asking what happened in the battlefield. Suppose there's a cricket match going on, and say we are missing something, we ask a friend maybe who's watching the cricket match with updates, what happened? So like what did they do? What happened over there? The essential question was, who's winning? Who's going to win? And Sanjay also answers indirectly when he says, wherever there is Krishna and where there is Arjuna, there is going to be victory. And they are definitely not on Duryodhana's side. That his side is going to be defeated. It's like sometimes some people, when they speak indirectly, For the other person, if they're intelligent, they will understand. Now, suppose we had made some lunch for someone, and that person comes very late. Now we may want to be polite because they come so late. Don't say that. We might just say indirectly, the food has become cold. Now, if that person is dumb, they say, can't you heat it again? If they say that, then our mind gets heated up. Don't you understand what I'm saying? So here Sanjay gives an indirect answer. He says, your sons are going to be destroyed. And he has an affectionate relationship with Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra's agony is also going to cause distress to Sanjay. So when he's seeing this, so neither is he speaking successful, nor are the future events that are going to happen going to be palatable for a person who he cares for. Then when both of these are going negative, how is it that he's thrilled? What is he thrilled by? So he says two things. If you look at his own words, he says, I remember Krishna's message and I remember Krishna's form. So how do these two things thrill him? And what does that mean for us? See, one of the teachings of the Gita, among the many teachings, is that life is always full of dualities. There is happiness and there is distress. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. So, this is always going to be there. And most people, they center their life, these are the dualities. Their purpose of life often is to get these and to avoid this. Get the positives and avoid the negatives. Yasmat priya priya viyoga sanyoga janma. So Prahlad Maharaj says that what is priya, we want it, we want yoga. And that is priya, the downs, we want to be yoga with it. We want separation from it. But this is unavoidable. Just as the weather changes, some days it is pleasant, some days it is not pleasant. And we can't really do much about it. Now, to some extent, we have done something about it. That is, we have created heat insulation in our homes, that whether it's too hot or too cold, it doesn't affect us. And that is helpful in its own way. But the point is, the dualities will still be there. So when these dualities happen, how do we respond to them? Just like we might create thermal insulation in our house to prevent the dualities from affecting us too much. But we can't ourselves stop the dualities. We can't always have the positive. So when the Gita is saying that don't care so much for happiness, what it means is, we consider this is the physical side of life, or external. Externally, these dualities are going to happen. Now, for many of us, what happens is, when there are these external dualities, they are reflected internally as far bigger. That means, if something good happens, the person starts jumping in joy, and elated. When something bad happens, it's just dejected. And these two are two sides of the same coin. To the extent we delight when there is something good, to that extent we will suffer when there is something bad. And this negativity, that can also degenerate at various levels. And we see this reflected in life today, or today's vocabulary rather. Say for example, all of us, when we are trying to Let's come back.
Yeah.
So all of us will face sometimes setbacks, failures. So we might acknowledge, I have lost. Okay, I tried to do something, it didn't work. Now I have lost. It's nobody wants that. It's palatable. But far worse is I am lost. I have lost means I had a particular direction, but I didn't get that direction. I am lost means I don't even know where I should go. I don't even know what I should do. But far worse is I am a loser. Nowadays, you are such a loser. Nobody's a loser. Losses and wins come in everyone's life. But to the extent we internalize life's externalities, that means that something bad happens. And then, yeah, it is important for us to analyze, did I do something wrong? Could I have done something better? That's important. But to the extent we internalize the externals, then if I lose once, if I lose twice, I start thinking, I am a loser. So we are identifying way too much with the external realities. And that is when they affect us excessively. Yes, in life there will be realities. And if we think that I should always be successful, and then when there is failure, it will become that much more difficult to bear. In one sense we say this is the soul, this is the mind, this is the body, and beyond that, there is the outer world. So I saw an advertisement. It said, "You are your car." You are your car. What I say? If you say in Sanskrit, what is it? Aham car. So it is not okay. Your status is defined by your car. No, you are your car. So this is ego. Ego means to identify with that which we are not. Aham car. So that we identify with externals. And to the extent we identify with externals, to that extent those externals affect us. So if you consider it, the soul, mind, body, and then the outer world. Now in the outer world, there is some duality. That can affect us at the level of the body. When the temperature goes up and down, now some people, if you see that, they're constantly, they go, oh, the weather is so bad, it's so hot, today it's so cold. Well, as an observation, that is fine. But constantly talking about it, how is that going to make any difference? Isn't it? It's like, okay, accept and move on. But some people is constantly keep talking about it. So like, this affects them. But then when that, so there's a duality at the outer world level, it comes at the physical level. And then when it comes at the level of the mind, it becomes even more. So when the Gita says, don't worry so much about happiness, what it is saying is, don't fixate so much the positive side of the reality. These will come, these will go. Then does this mean that we shouldn't seek happiness at all? Otherwise, what is the point of living? Don't we all want to be happy? Certainly we all want to be happy. But the Gita, what it says is that there are going to be dualities in the material world. At the same time, our consciousness. So our consciousness can be at the material level. If the consciousness is at the material level, then as dualities come, it will affect us also. We will get affected by it. But Krishna says focus not on seeking happiness, but on raising your consciousness. So, as our consciousness rises upwards, and say there's a stormy wave in an ocean. Suppose this is an ocean and we are in a boat. And suddenly there is a giant wave rushing towards us. That will actually turn us, that may overturn us. We'll be alarmed with that. But if instead of entering this ocean, we are above, then that wave coming will not affect us that much. So instead of expecting that these dualities won't affect us so much, the Gita says, raise your consciousness upwards. As we raise our consciousness upwards, life's dualities come and go. But their effect on us is not that much. Now, what does raising our consciousness mean? Essentially, the level of our consciousness that is determined by the level of our attachment. If we are attached to something very small, say if a child is attached to a toy, or a child, and the toy breaks. If the toy breaks somehow, it's almost like the end of the world for the child. A child cries so much. Now for a parents also distressed when the child is in distress. But the parents, they have bigger concerns in life. They have bigger concerns, and therefore that doesn't affect them so much. So the Gita's focus is that there is the world, which is the world around us, with many objects in the world. And above the world is Krishna. Now, I can't draw Krishna, so I'm just drawing a shape over here. So, our attachment can be either to the world or our attachment can be to Krishna. Now, in the world, things will keep changing. So, if we are attached to the world, then there are some things good, some things bad. And as they keep happening, depending on the degree of our attachment, we will be affected accordingly. Suppose somebody is very attached to cricket. Then if your favorite team wins, then the person is elated. Then their favorite team loses, they are devastated. Now with this IPL going on, there is no identification. At least if it's the team of country, okay. Even when we are identifying with cricket, so what is happening is we are souls, and so the soul is presently in a particular body. That body is born in a particular country. In that country, a particular sport is popular. So we have a triple attachment or a triple identification. We identify with the body, we identify with the country in which the body is born, and we identify with the sport that is popular in the country in which our body is born. Now when we have IPL, where is it? It's got nothing to do with it. IPL is known here, isn't it? No? Oh really? Wonderful. So, the India, IPL is the Indian Premier League. Cricket is not known. Okay, very good. So India had two main painkillers, entertainment. There was Bollywood and there was cricket. And about 15 years ago, both of them got married. And they had their child. That child was IPL. So it's cricket with all the Bollywood celebrities involved in it. They own the various team leagues. So let's forget it. The point I was making is, you are saved from the biggest attachments in India. So anyway, so the point I was making is that When we are attached to the world, things go up and down. When they go up and down, then we go up and down. But if we are attached to Krishna, now Krishna does not go up and down. Krishna is supremely steady. And now when we are attached to Krishna, that does not necessarily mean we are uncaring about the things in the world. This is one important thing when Krishna says detachment. Often, detachment is thought to be cold-heartedness. But actually, detachment is not cold-hearted, it is clear-headed. So, cold-hearted means no emotion at all. Don't care for anything. But clear-headed means no control by emotion. We have emotions, but we are not controlled by them. We don't we don't take our decisions solely based on emotions. So, Sanjay is concerned. And after Dhritarashtra loses his son and Dhritarashtra is shattered, Sanjay consoles him. But what has happened by hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Sanjay has understood that it is Krishna who is the ultimate object. That's what the message of the Bhagavad Gita is convinced. And as he is become convinced by that, remembering Krishna's message and Krishna's form. So what are the characteristics of these two things? Krishna's message, I'll conclude this point and then we can have a few questions. Krishna's message, it says that Krishna's plan. When we understand Krishna's message, we understand that Krishna's plan is infallible. That no matter how many times things go wrong in our life, that Krishna has his plan and his plan is always working. Sometimes we think, I have made such a terrible mistake, now everything is lost. Yeah, our mistakes have consequences. But no mistake is fatal. No mistake of ours is so big that can completely thwart Krishna's plan. No, it's not my mistake, somebody else treated it. Okay, even if somebody else treated us terribly, even that can't destroy Krishna's plan. And that person's misdeeds, maybe those misdeeds need to be addressed. But Krishna's plan is always working in our life. Now what does mean Krishna's plan is infallible? It does not mean there is this common saying, which is in Gita Sar, sometimes it is in people's homes, Jo hua wo acha hua. You have heard this? Whatever has happened is good. Whatever is happening is good. Whatever will happen will also be good. Now this sounds good, but now I have read the Bhagavad Gita more than 100 times. I have never found any verse anywhere that comes close to this. Now, if you see the Gita, it did when it says Draupadi was dishonored. Did Krishna come and say, Jo hua acha hua? When Sita was abducted, Hanuman wanted Jo hua acha hua? No, bad things happen in life. But the point is that we cannot deny our lived experience and say things are not bad. But the point is, even through the bad, good can come about. There are two things over here. Everything that happens, one is good. The other is good. So, the Gita doesn't say everything that happens is good. Bad things will happen. But for good means that good can come even through bad things. And Machitta sarva durgani mat prasada vishyasi. If you become conscious, you pass over all obstacles by my grace. So when bad things happen, actually we'll feel bad. But if we start thinking, oh, I'm doomed now, then it won't just be, oh, I am lost. It will be, I am a loser. We will We will ruin ourselves by over-identification with that. So, when we remember Krishna's message, what happens is, okay, bad things may have happened to me, bad things may have been done by me, but still, Krishna is in my heart and Krishna's plan is still before my life. Suppose, say you are driving, just now we came from Bhakti Center to here, finished and then I came. They said the GPS told us to turn right. And say by mistake we turn left. Now what happens at that time? GPS is up. The GPS says, you didn't obey me, get lost. It doesn't do that. And Krishna is the ultimate GPS. He has the entire territory of existence mapped out. Even if we take a wrong turn, what happens? Krishna immediately reroutes. Sometimes we may take a wrong turn, sometimes somebody misguides us and that's why we may take a wrong turn. But even then, GPS can reroute and get us to the destination. Like that, whatever happens in our life, Krishna is still with us, Krishna is still guiding us. And His plan is still working. Of course, our wrong turns have consequences. If we take a wrong turn, it will take longer to get to our destination. So it's not that the wrong choices or right choices don't matter. But they don't ultimately matter. Because we will get to the destination. So understanding that Krishna's plan is infallible, that gives us a great confidence. Great confidence. So what happens here is, see, we are here in the present. So we look at the present and we plan the future. And this is the essence of our planning. Okay, I'm here and that's where I want to go. And it's good, we are humans, have intelligence, we should plan. But Krishna's plan works in a different way. Krishna, he looks at the future and then he plans the present. That means Krishna wants us to get to a particular place and the present is a record. That's why Krishna's plan, so this is the human plan and this is the divine plan. We look at the past and plan the present and plan the future. Krishna looks at the future and plans the present. And that's why at our level, we think things are going terribly wrong. This is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Okay, if things are wrong, try to fix them. But don't lose hope. Don't think that it is the end. So, understanding Krishna's plan helps us understand that things will be okay in the end. And if things are not okay, it is not yet the end. It is not yet the end. So, this gives an extraordinary sense of hope and empowerment. And that's how we move forward. So, Sanjay knows that there's going to be, he's not successful in transforming Dhritarashtra's heart. Dhritarashtra's destiny is not going to be transformed, he's going to lose his sons. But through it all, Krishna's plan is working. Dhritarashtra will eventually be enlightened. We say, okay, that conviction that Krishna's plan is infallible. Okay, I understand that. But then right now things are going wrong. Right now what do? How do I find strength? And that comes us to the next verse. Krishna says, the first verse is the remembrance of Krishna's message. The next verse is Samsmritya Rupa Pratyabham, the remembrance of Krishna's form. So, while we are going through distress, Krishna's form represents his beauty, it represents his sweetness, it represents his love. So, Krishna's, you can see, Krishna's presence is ever accessible for us. That Krishna as a person is real and is really present in our hearts. He is right next to us. We are here, Krishna is here. So, how much is the distance between us and Krishna? How far is Krishna from us? Any idea? Right next to us. So, how much is the distance? No distance, yes. In one sense, even if we hold a person the tightest of hugs, that person cannot be as close to us as Krishna is always to us. But still, we may say, okay, Krishna is there, that's nice, but I don't feel his presence. So, how far is Krishna away from us? He is just one thought away. If we think about Krishna, we can start feeling his presence. We chant his holy name, we sing his kirtans, we come in front of the deities. And these are external activities and they're important. But if we do these activities in a way that we try to connect with Krishna, then we will experience his presence even in the most distressful of situations. And when we experience that presence, it is not that the problems will go away magically. The problems may still be there. But when we become Krishna conscious, then what will happen is we will experience relief amid distress. The distress may still be there. It's like we talk about, there are ups and downs of the weather. We have created homes and buildings with thermal insulation so that the outer dualities don't affect us. So Krishna consciousness is like spiritual insulation. That externally there are ups and downs, but internally we won't be affected. The distress may be there externally, but internally we still experience it. So even now, at every moment, by turning to Krishna in prayer, in devotion, we can experience that relief. And the practice of Bhakti Yoga involves chanting the holy names and serving devotees, hearing about Krishna, worshipping Krishna. All this, what is that? It connects us with Krishna. It's a process for connecting our thoughts with Krishna, for raising our consciousness toward Krishna. And the more we become seasoned Bhakti Yoga practitioners, the more not only will connect regularly with Krishna, but our connection with Krishna will also become stronger. It will be more regular and more steady. And then we will find that even amidst life's dualities, yam labdha cha aparam labham mandite nadikam tata. That yasmin sthito dukkhen guruna bhi vichalite. Even if there is severe distress, we won't be disturbed by it. Because we are internally secure, we are internally strengthened by our connection with Krishna. This is what happens to Sanjay, and this is what can happen to each one of us. The last few verses of the Bhagavad Gita demonstrate, in one sense, happiness without success. So for Sanjay, this is what happens. For Arjuna, there is happiness with success. Arjuna is going to win the war, he's going to be successful and he's going to be happy also. So both can happen. It is not that just because somebody becomes a devotee, they are all going to get success in life. For devotees in different phases, sometimes we get success, sometimes we don't get success. But if I am guided by the Gita's message, we will be connected with Krishna, and that connection, there will always be inner contentment. There will always be inner enrichment. When Srila Prabhupada came to America, at that time, his whole life, we could say, there had been practically no success. He had tried doing so much outreach for 40 years, he had been trying in India. Nothing had worked. He tried to start an organization, start a magazine, work with his god brothers, do this, do that. Nothing had been substantially successful. But Prabhupada had persisted on. When Prabhupada came to America, he was an unknown Swami walking on the streets of New York. And here, those who met him They were struck by simple joyfulness. He's so happy. He's happy speaking about Krishna, singing about Krishna, cooking food for Krishna, writing about Krishna. He actually wanted success in the sense that he wanted to fulfill his spiritual master's mission. He wanted the world to be enriched with Krishna Bhakti. But his happiness was not dependent on that success. He was eternally happy. So for the first 40 years of his life, there was happiness without success. In the last 10 years of his life, there's happiness with extraordinary success. But through it all, Prabhupada's connection was always with Krishna. And that's why toward the end of his life, when he was about to depart, Prabhupada worked so hard to build a new temple. That was his landmark. Viraj Maharaj sent me a book about that project. And just 2 or 3 months before the inauguration of the temple, Prabhupada departed. Prabhupada spent so much time writing the Bhagavatam, and it was the 10th canto. And he didn't get to complete it. Somebody confirmed, I just want to complete this. I just want to see the temple that I built. As a natural, it's a devotional aspiration. But as Prabhupada asked me last days, do you have any last desires? Prabhupada said, Kuch Ichha Nahi. He wanted to do some service for Krishna. Most importantly, he was attached not to the service, but the object of service. And he felt Krishna was calling him back. Kuch Ichha Nahi. So that is absorption. He had that conviction that Krishna's plan is working in this world. Whether that plan works through me or through future generations of devotees, Krishna's plan is working, and Krishna is ever present with my hearts. Prabhupada absorbed in Krishna, and that's how even his final days he was completely content in his devotion to Krishna. So that is the opportunity that is open for all of us by the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, to find inner enrichment in the presence of outer success and absence of outer success. So I'll summarize what we did today. I started by talking about how the Gita concludes Krishna's words or Arjuna's words. So we try to understand the significance of Sanjay's words. What is going on? Sanjay is speaking. And I discussed 2 more words, 76 and 77. His happiness on seeing Krishna, remembering Krishna's message, and remembering Krishna's form. And to understand this, I discussed about how the Gita is demonstrating its teachings through Sanjay. So at one level, Sanjay is experiencing new success, either immediately in terms of the message or in terms of the person who is delivering the message. And yet he has happiness. So where is this happiness coming from? So we discuss 2 parts to it. Is that if you remember Krishna's message, then what we realize among the main things, that Krishna's plan is infallible. It is always working. Bad things can happen, but they are done by us, they are done to us. But through them all, Krishna's plan is always working. And that's why there is no need to let these external dualities cause us, let the external become too much internal. So how do we rise above these dualities? That by turning our consciousness from the world toward Krishna. So the dualities will keep coming, but if we have elevated our consciousness, if we have raised our attachment, then the dualities of the world won't affect us that much. So that's what happens to him. He understands, rather than be attached to the things of the world, let me be attached to the souls of those things. Then, by seeing that his plan is working in the outer world, there is confidence. But along with that, While there is Krishna's plan is that he looks at the future and plans the present. So we understand things are going wrong right now. Everything that happens are not necessarily good, but it can be for good. So let me persist. Let me continue doing what I can. But then what about right now? I am feeling bereaved, I am feeling empty. Then turn toward Krishna's form. That means we understand that Krishna's presence is always there in our life. And if we understand His presence, then we can get relief even amid distress. So ultimately, by Krishna's plan, there will be release from distress. And Krishna's plan ultimately becomes successful, then everything will be okay in the. If it is not okay, it is not at the end. So by the power of bhakti, practice in relation to Krishna, ultimately there is release from all distress. But intermediately, Krishna is just one thought away from us. We direct our thoughts to Him, we can experience the spiritual solution that protects us from life's duality. We can experience relief amid distress. Thank you very much. Hare.
Thank you. Wonderful lecture as always. I can't say that I've thought about Sanjay so much, but what you said today reminded me of a question, which is Sanjay was obviously a devotee and he was taking, he was being enriched and nourished by Krishna's message. How did he keep that part of his life intact while at the same time Dhritarashtra, who was so obviously doing wrong? Because sometimes in our life we have people we are close to, friends or family, who we might see they're doing not obviously wrong on the scale of Dhritarashtra, but doing wrong, and we want to help them, but at some point they refuse to accept help. So how do we handle that? I think that's the core question.
Yeah, good point. The question is that, and Sanjay is so devoted, at the same time, how did he maintain his devotion when he was so close to Dhritarashtra? That may apply to us. Sometimes we are close to somebody, but they are destructive. We're not like Dhritarashtra, but what do we do in such situations? Yes. So here there is Krishna, and say here there is me, and here there is the other person. It could be our friend, our sibling, our spouse, whoever it is. The sizes are not representative. Okay. So now it's important for us to get things right. So if we consider here, this is our relationship with Krishna. That is one, and our relationship with the other person is two, and their relationship with Krishna is three. Now the ideal situation is where all three grow together. We are want to go closer to Krishna, they want to go closer to Krishna, and in that process we also come closer to each other spiritually. That is ideal. But life rarely uses ideal situations. So then what do we do at such times? If the three don't grow together, then let the three grow separately. What that means is we focus on one. And this 1, 2, 3 is also in terms of priority, but it's also in terms of what is in our control. So we make time for one. We make sure that that is not interrupted. And apart from that, we make time for two. That means whatever is expected in that relationship, the other person, we do that. We do our responsibilities. And then we in one sense, let go of that. That is between that person and Krishna. Now, by this, what happens? See, Sanjay, the Dhritarashtra was not ever really averse to Krishna. It was more that he was attached to the Duryodhana so much. There is no such incident that he was blasphemous of Krishna or anything like that. So, he was just too attached to Duryodhana, that's why he was blind. So it's not that he was crushing Sanjay's devotion. So Sanjay, that was his It was his duty, that was his role in that particular situation. He did that. But he also maintained that connection. Gradually, he developed his ways. Sometimes what happens when we put too much expectation or pressure for the other person to develop their relationship, then because of that pressure, then there's a lot of pressure into that. If we put too much pressure on the other person to practice bhakti, and we are ourselves being serious in bhakti, in every relationship, there is our contribution toward the other person, what we are doing in that relationship, and then there is our expectation from the other person. So sometimes when we start practicing bhakti, with bhakti practice, unfortunately, what happens is our contribution in the relationship goes down. In the sense that maybe we used to hang out with people, maybe watch movies, go to sport, do this, do that. All the things that we might have been doing, we say, I don't want to do this, all this is mine. So our contribution goes down and our expectation goes up. You should come to the temple, you should chant this, you should not eat this, you should not do that. And that creates too much of a strain in the relationship. So in any relationship, if we feel that what I am getting is far less than what I am giving, we start thinking, why am I in this relationship? So if we put pressure on 3, then that we put pressure for 3, for the other person to develop their relationship with Krishna, then that creates a strain in our relationship. And if it's a very close relationship and it's that relationship is strained, then that creates a disturbance in one relationship with Krishna. If there's a lot of tension in our house and we sit down to chant the holy names, how can we focus on the Lord? So it's better that we understand that Krishna has a plan for everyone. We try to help others, but if they're not ready, then let go. Let go. Krishna knows how best to work for them. Krishna is in their hearts. It's like we may think, oh, I have to bring them to Krishna. Yes, we can try, but you need to know that, say, we are here with them in this one life. But they had their trajectory before this. We have our trajectory before this. And Krishna was with them all the time. They may not be with Krishna, but Krishna is with them. And we try to see how Krishna is acting in their life. And we try to assist in that. Sometimes we find that they go through some experiences and they get some realizations, they get some thoughts. And then slowly we try to connect them to Krishna through that. So rather than forcing them to develop 3, just let Krishna act in his own way. So that's what my understanding Sanjay was doing. He was doing his dharma and he was waiting for the rush to evolve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just I want to add. So in modern this one we can consider like in the Middle East countries, when the government is not favorable for they practice other dharma. But we do internally in our own from contest, but our society are different. This one we have to we cannot force them. We can.
Yes, good example. In the Middle East, number of devotees are amazing. There's very few places, only in Bahrain we have a temple, but other places we don't have a temple, but there's many devotees. They are practicing vibrantly. And if we had insisted only when there's a temple that we practice bhakti, it couldn't have worked. So we focus on what is in our control and bhakti is growing. Thank you. Yes, please.
In our circumstances, bhakti grows very fast.
Yeah, in adverse circumstances, bhakti grows very fast.
Yeah, because
Well, yes.
resistance, you always know stress more. No, I want to do this.
Yes, that is true. But that is also, bhakti is tested in adversity, but bhakti is tested even more in prosperity. Because, it's like, suppose a boy proposes to a girl. Please marry me. And the girl asks, why do you want to marry me? Because no other girl in the town is ready to marry me. Now, if that's not the most flattering of proposals, but if the girl accepts the boy, love for him, not his love for her. Isn't it? It is if he is turning towards someone because there is no options, then his love is not being tested. So similarly, many times when nothing works for us, then we turn toward Krishna. Krishna still accepts us. But his accepting us shows his love for us. So in adversity, nothing is working. What to do, Krishna? Surrender to you. Okay. But when there is prosperity, then do we still turn toward Krishna? So externally as in adversity, our practice of bhakti, even internally our calling out to Krishna may increase. And that's good. But the test of our devotion will also be when that external adversity goes in. Do we still say thank you Krishna? Or you say, thank you Krishna, bye bye. Now I have other things to do in my life. Thank you. Yes. Clear-headed, yeah.
So we always see bad things happening to good people. Krishna, as devotee, we understand that Krishna is infallible, but how do we explain to others? Like when I say, oh, it's your karma, that's why it's happening to you, it sounds like, or it seems like cold-hearted. How do we explain about it?
When something bad has happened to someone, how do we explain without saying cold-hearted? Well, first of all, when something, as far as I have read scriptures, when something bad has happened to someone, I have never read anywhere in scripture till now somebody else saying to that person, this is your karma. That person will say, oh, what karma, I don't know because of Shyam. But nobody else says that. So when Sita is abducted, nobody tells her it's your karma. And Draupadi is dishonored, nobody says that it's your karma. When bad things happen, our focus should not be on what is their karma. Our focus should be on what is our dharma. What is the right thing to do for us? The philosophy misapplied can actually alienate people from philosophy. I was speaking in Yale last year, and there one person asked, in this Bhagavad Gita, it's a pessimistic book. It says everything is a place of distress. The world is a place of distress. So he is clearly non-Indian, Mexican or something like that. So I said that India, he said, I have been studying India and I can't like this book. I don't like this book. So he said that India has, even objectively perspective, India has one of the warmest cultures of hospitality. That's how so many, like the British colonialists, India welcomed India. He said that if this idea was literally to be taken, oh, this world is a place of distress. Suppose a guest comes to our house and the guest comes and says, I'm feeling very cold. Will we tell him what to do? The world is a place of distress. No, that is true. But that is not the relevant point over there. If a guest has come to our house, our focus is not the nature of the world, our focus is the nature of our dharma. What is our duty? What is the right thing for us to do at that time? So that is important. So when somebody is in distress, our dharma is to help them come out of distress. Now sometimes speaking philosophy may help them. But if we look at the approach that Krishna himself took, that when Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna was shattered. Initially, he just crumbled on the ground hearing that Abhimanyu was killed. And then he got up and Yudhishthira had given him the outline of what had happened. He just lashed out at his brothers. He said, all of you, your weapons, are they just ornaments? Could not one of you protect my son? At that time, Krishna approached Arjuna and pulled him into a side hug. So, O Partha, in this world, adversities come upon everyone. The wise people and the unwise people. The only difference is that amid adversity, the unwise act in ways that make things worse. where the wise act in ways that make things better. So, oh Arjuna, look at the faces of your brothers. They are in agony at the death of Abhimanyu, just as you are. Please don't speak words that will make their pain worse. So Krishna takes a strikingly non-philosophical approach. Krishna doesn't go into Abhimanyu's past karma or Arjuna's past karma, anything like that. What is Krishna doing? Just, okay, the situation has come. Are you going to make things worse or are you going to make things better? So, when something terrible has happened, the first in somebody's life, what we can do is be of support to them. And we try to be there. Sometimes no words can help at times. You shouldn't think that philosophy is like a magic wand that is expected to solve all problems. It can eventually, but there's a time for speaking philosophy and there is a time for giving practical emotional support. So we are there for them, we give them a shoulder to cry on, we try to do them practical for them. And at appropriate time, if required, we can speak philosophy. When somebody is suffering and we say that it is your karma, that way, that is not only hard, it is not only philosophically, as compared to scripture, that's not what is normally done. And it just makes us cold-hearted. Then where are we going to stop like that? Isn't it? So where is karma going to, the karma analysis, where is it going to stop? One of my friends, I was having a devotee friend, very intelligent person. He's a little extremist. I was having a discussion with him. He said that he said, no matter how much disease I have, I will never take a painkiller. Why? He said, by my past karma, that pain is going to come, it's going to come. Why should I take a painkiller? So as we were talking in a room, it was very hot, the fan went off. And then he called on the phone. As the fan gone, there's no generator over here. I said, Prabhu, it's your current going to be hot also. So, why is painkiller being put in a separate category? The fan is like a painkiller only. So we can't become too fixated with past karma and we have to focus on what is karma. So if my focus is to serve Krishna, to do the right thing, then whatever support I need, I try to have. So generally, we shouldn't get into philosophy. Our focus should be to help the person. And if we feel that philosophy can be of help, then we can speak philosophy. But philosophy should not become a way to try to explain away the person's suffering or to wash our hands of the responsibility to help that person. Okay? Sorry, come again? Okay, I'll give you a scriptural example for that. When Hiranyaksha dies, Hiranyakashipu speaks some philosophy. Yeah, he speaks philosophy. For him, philosophy is just a tool to persuade them. He said that, okay, Vishnu has tricked us, that's why Hiranyaksha was killed. He gives philosophy as a point. He says, okay, he mentions karma in one verse. But that acceptance of karma is not leading to any philosophical understanding for him. He says that, you have to take revenge. I'll become powerful enough and I'll kill Vishnu. So that is not acceptance of karma at all. For him, philosophy was just a tool to try to pursue his beliefs. So that is thrust to, if it is karma, if the person truly accepts that this is karma, then accept it. Okay, he must have done something bad, that's why it happened to him. But that was not his mood at all. His mood was, okay, that happened, now we have to get back at that person. So our purpose in life is not to get back at others. It is to go back to Krishna. Hiranyakashipu had no intention of going back to Krishna. He wanted to get back at Krishna himself. So that philosophy was completely a utilitarian. That is, Hiranyakashipu is not a character that we want to emulate. Isn't it? So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki,
Jai.
Jai Gaur Prema.
HG Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki.
Jai.